It's time to get on the ice. Music City Gold is on the air with Kyle Hancock, Daniel Mangrum, and Matt Bain. We are Smashville's best fan-driven podcast, featuring news around the league, the Predators, and the occasional hot take or two. Part of the Penalty Box Radio Network, you're listening to Music City Gold.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Music City Gold on the Penalty Box Radio Network. I am your host, Kyle. With me, as always, my co-hosts, Daniel and Matt.
Hello.
Hey, guys.
You were very chipper today, Matt.
Oh, yeah, it's been a great day.
So you got your favorite Jack Eichel sweater on, which we'll talk about later.
A little foreshadowing.
That's right. The last time you're going to be seeing my boy Jack Eichel in this Buffalo Sabres jersey right here. So to honor that, I got the Vegas hat on top to show you where he's coming from and where he's going.
So what made you get the Eichel jersey?
Oh, I've had it. You just you tend to not wear Sabres jerseys very often, so you guys haven't ever seen that, I guess.
To be fair, though, not very many people grow up saying they want to be a Buffalo Sabre.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just crazy.
And kind of the Islanders, too. Really, if you're, it's almost, if you're going to be a New York fan, you need to say you're a Rangers fan. That's just about all there is to it.
There's just so many New York teams, let's be honest. I mean, they got a lot of choices, so.
And then we'll swing over to you, Dan. How's your day been going?
Well, yeah. So I'm just happy to be here. So my wife was involved in a minor car accident here earlier. So it was not her fault. She got hit from behind, but the car is a little worse for wear. It's definitely not in mint condition anymore. So I don't even have my iPad tonight. I'm just kind of here. I'm disheveled and, waiting on insurance to call back. And it's, by golly, we're going to get this episode out, okay? We got good hockey news to talk about tonight.
Did the driver get like a 5-minute major for hitting from behind, or did you blow the whistle on him? Or?
Dude, it was crazy. And it took forever, too, because, apparently, his car was registered to the tags were registered to two different vehicles. How does that even happen? Who knows? Anyway, of course, everything that could happen to delay it has happened today. But everyone's okay. There's insurance. That's what we buy it for. And we're here to talk hockey, and we got some good news. But, man, yeah, it's not a fun day to have a car wreck. I'll put it like that. So.
And I'll go ahead and say that my day's been pretty well. Just work from home in my pajamas. Got ready for the show.
Okay.
Yeah. Good job, Kyle. I picked you up, too, by the way.
You did.
After the wreck.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome.
But guys, we would be remiss if we don't talk about the biggest wreck that's going on in the AHL right now, and that is Chicago Blackhawks sexual abuse scandal. And like I've always said, if you live underneath a rock and you haven't heard about this, it's been going on for several weeks and months now. This story has slowly been building steam.
Yeah. Rick
Westhead has done a great job getting the story out, and finally it broke out, and I'm surprised that the Blackhawks as a team are still standing.
Yeah, it's been a week for the NHL. It's been an absolute dumpster fire. The report is pretty telling. I mean, it is a massive report. How many pages was it? I think we're at 170-page report. I mean, this is insanely detailed. It was done by a third party. Basically, the Blackhawks got fined. I think that is now solidified at $2 million, correct?
Which is basically a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, and it's crazy. We've been going back and forth, just trying to figure out what it should have been. Honestly, if you're looking at some of the other previous fines for other teams, you have some $3 million fines for circumnavigating the cap, and you have the Coyotes thing, a couple years ago. So it has been, like I said, an absolute dumpster fire for the league, which we can talk about a little bit here in a few. But Bettman is also under fire. I mean, it is crazy this week in
the
hockey.
NHLPA executives under fire too.
Yes.
The players today just said they are going to authorize an independent investigation of their own, see how much the Don Fair knew about it.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, nobody was going to come out of this a winner. This was a lose all across the board for everybody. So a tough situation, sucks all the way around.
I will say, since the name has been revealed, Kyle Beach was an AHL Black Ace, is the claimant in the lawsuit that's being put against former video coach Brad Aldrich. And you can go find the report online. We won't dive too much into it.
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, I read it.
Oh, I know we all read it. And to me, what amazed me is that at the end of the day, and this is kind of how I feel about it, if somebody comes to you and says, hey, this has happened and it's a serious issue, you are obligated to report it. You are obligated to make sure it's followed up on. And what's amazing to me is that you had all these executives, including Coach Quinville, in a room after the Stanley Cup Finals had been punched for them. So they're going to the finals, they find out about this, and they all decide that the final is more important than trying to deal with this. And they only report it until 3 weeks later, which then Brad Aldrich is let go, and he goes on to commit other crimes in the USA Hockey and in a high school where he was arrested for third and fourth degree
Sexual assault.
Sexual assault.
Yeah, sexual assault. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely crazy at this point that this continued on. I mean, mostly the report was detailing like how much the top brass knew about it. I mean, this went all the way to the top. And I think what I was saying too, like one of the points I made is I'm not going to be surprised if more stuff doesn't come out about any other organization, which ironically enough, as soon as this broke, there was smoke coming from the Penguins organization, and they had a press release, and that, first of all, didn't look good for whoever's doing PR. Can I just throw this out there? Whoever's doing PR for the Blackhawks organization, for Bettman, or for the Penguins, they're not doing a good job right now. And yeah, it's just I have a feeling that there's going to be other incidents that come to light because of this. Because this has probably not been the first time and the only time, and unfortunately it probably won't be the last time that something like this happens. And the Bettman press conference was a train wreck too.
Oh yeah, like, it was one thing after another.
Yeah, it was really bad. Not a good look. He didn't look strong at all. He was very weak on answering the questions. He kind of deflected a lot.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I would expect. I mean, they're very lawyered up, and I'm sure their lawyers told them, hey, you can't be admitting guilt or anything because that's like, you're going to get sued. You can't admit to fault because that's guilt, and that means you're legally responsible.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a bunch of legal red tape that they were told. But I think Elliot Friedman had a really good take on it. He said, as the viewers and the fans of the game, what we were looking for was a compassionate, sorrowful response from the commissioner, and what he gave was just a very legalized,
Yes. Yeah.
And that wasn't. He might have been told to do that, but as a fan at the game, everybody wanted some compassion in that situation, which is what was needed, and he just fell short of that. So
it was very stoic. It was very robotic, kind of like you said. I mean, definitely almost read from a prompt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it kind of felt like, and. On top of that too, like not to just dismiss the whole Blackhawks thing. Everyone, like I said, just go read the report if you want a good lunchtime read. It's got 170 something pages out there. But Bettman's also come under fire, even like in past years for the drug usage. He also has this whole thing where he kind of hasn't been marketing the NHL really in a favorable light, which the owners have also taken offense to over the past several years. So.
And the concussion
there's a lot mounting up that's basically okay. And he's also been the commissioner the entire time, which I mean, he literally 30 plus years. So at some point you have to look at this and say, is it time for change? I mean, and that's not just over the sexual assault thing. You have multiple things now. You have the drug usage, you have sexual assault, you have not running it properly, business wise too. I think there is so much going against Bettman right now that I don't see how he makes it out of this. Honestly, I think it's going to go to a vote maybe for the owners, and then hopefully they actually get a new person in who might be able to steer the league into a better position, quite frankly, especially marketing globally, because I feel like that has been really slack. I mean, they're just now started expanding with these, the global series games. Now, granted, the pandemic has kind of slowed that down, but there's just so much stuff that they could be doing. And he just seems like he's just not doing much at all. And he even said too, he's like, well, we don't really have a policy in place for this. Well, I would hope you got one now. You better be making a policy now for this. You better be making a strategy for marketing. You better be doing all this stuff. But he hasn't been doing it. And I'm like, you've been commissioner for 30 years.
Well, they've just been sweeping beneath the rug. He's like a good old boy. You always say that hockey's a good old boy system, and this is a case where it seems like it was. When you've got teams and coaches saying, oh, that's terrible, this happened to the guy. We're really sorry about it. We're going to focus on the cup right now. and then we're going to talk about it afterwards. Like, that was wrong. And you can't say that it wasn't, because you have an obligation to say this happened. And what really should have happened is that the HR department for Blackhawks should have been told. And then Brett Aldrich is fired immediately.
Yeah.
And then should have been told to people that when they called the Blackhawks for jobs saying, hey, this happened, because that's a legal and a moral responsibility to keep other people out of harm's way.
Yeah, let's just go over the results of what happened. Like let's just kind of go step by step, because there's a lot going on. So McDonough fired last summer. Okay. You have the whole list, Kyle. Just go ahead and read it, though. It's easier.
So President McDonough was fired last summer for pedestrian reasons. McIsaac resigned. GM Stan Bowman stepped aside, in quotes, in a mutual agreement and resigned as GM. He also resigned as GM of the U.S. Olympic men's hockey team.
Yep.
Jay Blanc, who was the executive vice president, left the organization last summer for a new business. Jim Gary, who was the Blackhawks mental skills coach and counselor, is now being investigated by the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation, which licenses counselors, because he allegedly told Kyle Beach that the abuse he suffered was his fault. Joel Quenneville coached his last game in Florida and met with Bettman and then resigned promptly afterwards.
That was a whole show in itself. The fact that he coached that last night, boy, it was a dumpster fire online on Twitter. I was like, oh my, I can't believe he's coaching this game, and they definitely should have sidelined him just till he met with Bettman. Like, that was my whole thing. Just sideline him just till he met with Bettman.
Sidebar about that. I have a speculation. I've not heard anybody else say it, but I think he broke the record for coaching. He crossed over like 3 or 4 all time on the coaching list because of that last game. And I wonder, I've not heard anybody say it, but I wonder if Bettman let him do that last game.
Oh, that's not a good look. That's not a good look on Bettman.
I'll never admit it, but that's pretty crazy timing.
Oh, man. Like, I was sitting there watching this game, and I'm like, I don't know how this goes on. And the Boston fans were just giving it to him. And the chants, it was so bad. I'm like, oh. Literally, I think they were chanting at one time, like, fire Coach Q, literally, like, that was the whole chant going through Boston. I'm like, this is just not a good look right now. So, it's crazy.
And then last but not least, Brad Aldrich's name was X'd off the cup officially. They showed pictures of it online. The X's were there. His name is no longer on the cup.
Yeah. Not the first time this has happened, by the way, for people out there.
I was about to explain that. Yeah. This was kind of a contentious situation because a lot of people, like, I would think as a classic historian, lover of the game, well, you can't change the history and all that. But what I didn't know was that had been done before. Apparently, the owner from an Oilers team way before my lifetime put his father's name on the cup, which it shouldn't have been, so they X'd it off. And I didn't know that. I was thinking, well, you can't tarnish, you can't redo this piece of like hockey memorabilia history. But apparently, it's been done before, so there's already precedent for it. So, and honestly, it's kind of a good compromise because you get his name crossed off, but it's still there. So you're kind of giving yourself a reminder, hey, this is what happens or whatever. So I thought that was a very interesting take. I really liked it. And I didn't know that my boy Lonnie Mustache McDonald was the, whatever you call it, the chairman of the Hockey Hall of Fame. So it was his decision when the president of Chicago Blackhawks, I guess he wrote him a letter and said, "Hey, can we take that off?" And he was like, "Yeah,
that's a great stash. He's still rocking it too." Did
you
see the video with Crispy the other night? Oh, what a great! Okay, so also sidebar, Crispy announced that he's not coming back next season for broadcasting, which super sad, by the way. He's literally
he's the best.
He's the best. Like, he's been one of the best ambassadors for the Nashville Predators too. I mean, you got a Stanley Cup winning coach too. I think it was last season too when they had the whole COVID thing going down and Chris Mason was out for a bit. He actually got to broadcast again, and he was in the booth with Willie Don. And I'm like, this is great stuff right here. You know, like it's really going to be difficult not seeing him next season. But, I mean, seeing him honored, at the Preds game and then also in Calgary where he was from, and you had Lonnie there, man, what a special moment for him. He had all of his family there in Calgary too. I think he said there was like 26 people in a booth. He had all of his grandchildren there. What a good guy. Can't say enough about Terry Crisp. He's fantastic.
But there is plenty to say about the rest of the names being on the cups. So even though Aldrich's name has been taken off the cup with the X's, there are still people out there that would like to see several of the names we mentioned off the cup as well. And by the way, you're talking about the PR. Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews better learn how to do that PR too, because they messed that up too big time. I mean, yeah, it was all well and good that you think Stan Bowman did you well, but to come out and say that, yeah, that's terrible what he did, but he's been good to us, totally the wrong thing to say in the situation.
Well, wasn't the night that this all broke, both of them were benched or something? Wasn't it conveniently?
They were benched for the media scrum, and that was an extremely convenient timing. Yeah. I think they were both on COVID protocol. I think they played the next game, but
it's just one of those.
It was convenient.
Once again, it's just not another good look.
Yeah.
You know,
and Duncan Keith declined an interview, saying he didn't have anything to add to the situation, but that didn't help. I mean, at the very least.
Yeah, it's all damage control right now. I mean, that's all it is at this point. But it's nice to see, though, some of the players reacting. Wayne Simmons said he would like a neutral party to handle all future investigations into incidents around the NHL. Doesn't believe the league or team should make disciplinary actions on situations like that. So I definitely would agree. I think that would be awesome to set up like a full-on third-party investigating committee to prevent stuff like this in the future. It needs to happen. Bettman needs to get on this immediately. I mean, the fact that he did the fact that there wasn't anything in place to begin with is kind of startling. Like, especially for an organization like the NHL, because I mean they're massive. You know what I mean? Like any mid-sized company is going to have stuff like this in place. So that just is what it is from a business standpoint. So let's get this up and going. Have a third-party, neutral party handle everything. So that way you're not in the weeds. You don't have any of the organization's hands on it, and you can get basically resolution a lot quicker and have everything reported more accurately, because this is crazy.
He should have been basically...
Okay, well, boys, I think it's time. That subject has been talked about at length and ad nauseum, so let's switch it over for a minute to a little bit happier note, and that is what we referenced earlier. My boy, Jack Eichel, is going home, son. Going home to Vegas.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming. It's kind of like... It was a weird situation, and we kind of discussed it a little bit last time, how like the Sabres did not want to pay for this treatment that he wanted, and like the tensions have gotten to like a boiling point where, you know, it's just crazy. He wanted, like, I think it's some sort of spinal fusion thing kind of scenario, and it was really sad because it's the fact that like you have a young star who's not getting the treatment that he wants, and he, you know, wants to be better, and I don't know, it was just crazy that Buffalo was handling it the way they were. But somehow they have worked out, ironically enough, the perfect trade, because somehow Alex Tuch is super excited about getting traded in this package and going to Buffalo. He's from upstate New York, so it makes sense. But this is a massive trade, and this is a huge shift for the Pacific. I'll just put it like that.
I'm just surprised you guys knew Alex Tuch was from New York. I mean, maybe
I did my research before this episode. Okay.
Maybe I knew that, like, you know, a couple years ago before he got traded, but like I have such a terrible memory that it wasn't even close to me knowing that.
Well, since Matt, you are a big Jack Eichel fan, what did you think about the return he got?
So yeah, let's mention.
This is crazy.
The offer sheet. So two Golden Knights, they get Jack Eichel plus a third-round pick conditional in exchange. For Alex Tuch, Peyton Krebs, a first round in 2022 conditional, and a second round 2023 conditional pick. So conditions are, if the 2022 is a top 10, then all picks in the trade push out a year. So it's extremely difficult to evaluate who get the better half of the trade when you're talking about injury potential. Yeah. You can see players like Crosby has had so many injuries that their career could be tarnished coming back hurt, but also to the point that there's so many moving pieces. You got 2 draft picks, a first round, a second round, and you just don't know what that's going to be yet. You don't know the draft class.
2022 draft class, though, that first round, that's a big pick.
Is that the big one?
Yeah, that's the big one that Buffalo is wanting.
Yeah.
But if you look at this, though, like, let's just put this in perspective. Vegas has pulled the equivalent of going all in. Vegas is going all in on themselves, because this is crazy. If you pull up basically Vegas's first round picks all time, okay, you're gonna love this one. Vegas's first round picks all time. Cody Glass has been traded for Nolan Patrick. Nick Suzuki was part of the Max Pacioretty trade. Eric Brandstrom, part of the Mark Stone trade. 2018, first traded for Thomas Tatar. Peyton Krebs, part of the Jack Eichel deal. I mean, this is crazy. So basically, Vegas has traded away every single first-round pick they've ever gotten to get these large contracts on their file, and they are all in, baby. They are giving away the farm.
That's a big move
for the Cup. I mean, they really are. I mean, if you look at, you're talking about first-rounders in the future now and everything. I mean, they are trading it all in. This is a classic Vegas move. You're in Vegas, I'm going all in. But what's crazy about it too is if you pull up the cap for the Vegas Golden Knights right now, do you know that they have $27 million on the long-term injury reserve? So they are trying, I quote, to pull a Tampa Bay Lightning situation because you have Eichel and Stone and Max Pacioretty on long-term injury reserve. It's $27 million. So something has to give for some of these players to come back. So you have to make a trade eventually at some point. But someone argued that you could have Jack Eichel have his surgery and then keep him on long-term injured reserve until the playoffs. Therefore, you trade away one person, you bring Stone back, and then you still have Eichel. I mean, it's crazy looking at the lineup.
And that's what I was saying. That's what I thought. I was looking at the list. I don't see William Karlsson on the LTIR list, but I'm pretty sure he just broke his ankle. It says, if it broke his foot, he'll miss 4 to 6 weeks. So I think that's LTIR material as well.
What's the minimum for LTIR?
I think it's 10 games or 24 days, something like that.
I don't know. An additional $6 million they'll go on LTIR.
That's what I'm saying. They've got all the big dogs.
Crazy. But Eichel, though, his injury is the one that will sustain throughout the whole season, I think. And this is why it's a cup or bust. I mean, you are gambling everything. You've already thrown away the farm for a person who still has to have like some sort of spinal fusion, whatever neck thing, and then you're hoping that he comes back full force.
Yeah. So,
and still be good for the next several years because you're taking on a contract of $10 million a year through the 25-26 season. 2025-26. That's huge. So if they've already sold the farm on this kid and then he comes back slightly less than what he was because of the injury, oh man, not good for Vegas. So I mean they have gone, like I said, this is all in for Vegas. I mean it's entertaining to watch from a cap perspective, but I mean this is crazy. I mean we'll see what happens too, but I'm just glad that Eichel's actually getting the treatment that he wanted to. I'll just put it like that.
Yeah, that's the happiest. He almost played for Calgary.
Oh, dude. Yeah, this came down to the wire, apparently.
Yeah, you guys were telling me that, yeah.
So Kevin Weeks reported yesterday about 4:30 yesterday afternoon. He said, for all asking, my understanding is that the NHL Flames have Tkachuk, who is a future potential captain, an upcoming first-round pick, a former first-round pick, and two prospects in the Eichel sweepstakes.
And then to come to find out, Tkachuk was not on the list to be traded because they didn't want to upset the apple cart in their core. So, and when asked about it, they said, well, we were going to get creative with it. And I'm like, what do you mean you're going to get creative with it? I'm like,
that's not creative.
You weren't even in the, that's how I'm like, I don't know how close, honestly, the Flames were to get.
That would have been one of those trades that Tkachuk would have found out through Twitter he had been traded.
Yeah. Anytime Kevin Weeks tweets a deal like that, or I don't believe him because the last 2 or 3 times that's happened, he's been kind of misled by his agent. I forget the last scandal with the situation like that, but he was being fed false information from his former manager or whatever. And I always wait for a TSN person, let it be LeBron or Friedman or somebody like that before I start getting interested. But that's what I'd last heard last week. The situation was, according to Elliott, that the talks with Vegas were going on, but they had kind of calmed down. So I guess they ramped back up, and for sure, I think it was the deal went down late at night. I think I got something on my Twitter, 11 or midnight. 11
it was coming in late because I was in bed when I started seeing it.
They just had to make the call, I guess, to the league office this morning or what have you. But the main point here is that we're just happy for Eichel because I know people like Leonard, Robin Leonard has been very open about wanting the league to step in and somehow mediate this to get this player help and being an advocate for Jack Eichel. And I think that starts a really good precedent because we're talking about making change in the league for for sexual assault victims and making hotlines available and things like that, being accountability. And Leonard, it took it on his own account to say, I know that the situation's covered in the CBA and we can't do anything about it, but we really need to find some type of venue so we can advocate for players like not only Jack Eichel, but players in the future that are going to be in similar situations. So we're just happy that Eichel is on to new and better things. He can get the surgery he wants. He can play hockey again, get out of that dumpster fire at Buffalo.
Even to bring it home for some of our fans here, like, could you imagine if the shoe were on the other foot and like one of our players, like Josi or Forsberg or Saros, had an injury, and then our team literally was saying, no, we just don't want it, like, we're not going to pay for it. But that team's making $100 million. I mean, the Blackhawks had a report that they were making $178 million a year, and they only got fined $2 million for the sexual assault. Ooh, that's kind of hard to swallow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but you have situations like this where a player, like a star player who's a cornerstone, like if that happened to Josi, there'd be picketing outside of Bridgestone. If that had happened to Pekka, like, God forbid, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, so it's nice to see this get resolved finally, have him move and get the treatment that he wants to have done, and then just wash his hands of Buffalo. And like I said, Leonard has been a very huge advocate on mental health too. He's very active on Twitter. I've noticed that. So it's good to see that there is progress being made, and hopefully this will set the precedence for more, groups to be set up for the Players Association and everything, that these players actually have more protection moving forward, because I don't understand how this was not covered, honestly. But just a very bad situation all overall, but he is now on a potential cup winning team. So congratulations to Eichel.
Good deal.
Like, good deal, man. You're on a good team. You're going back home to Vegas, and you get the treatment you wanted. So checks every box for him.
And I tell you what, boys, I'm looking at the Cap Friendly, and I'm seeing that name. I texted you guys. I was watching the Vegas game the other day, and I said, there's this kid's jersey. I'm looking at his name, and I'm like, oh my God, my jaw dropped trying to figure out how to pronounce this kid's name. And I just saw it here on Cap Friendly. It's Jake. I'm going to take a good stab at Jake.
Oh, no.
Lishishin. So you see that on the back of a jersey. Yeah, that's not an easy one to come across. That doesn't roll off the lips.
See, I can't say it.
Yeah, that's going to be good for Kyle.
Good job. Way to go. He sounded like he was starting a car there.
He get past the first one.
So total sidebar, but I saw that. It's like, oh yeah, that's the guy from the other day.
Oh, that's like the SNL skit. SK and a J. That's a nope. Yeah, let's do that hockey. So yeah, no, it's absolutely crazy. But you know who's still doing that hockey? Alexander. Like, Kyle's already raising his hands. Alexander Ovechkin.
Alexander Ovechkin. Matt, come on. He's doing great things.
Oh, we had a debate about this in the chat.
He is two away from tying Brett Hull.
I didn't have a debate. It was them two. Let's just clarify. It's Kyle and Matt going back and forth.
Well, we'll bring everybody into the debate. The debate was, who's the better player, McDavid or Ovechkin?
And we need to do a Twitter poll on this, because I'm curious to what...
We're going to set one up.
Yeah.
But we really weren't going that deep into the stats. We were doing it based on what hardware they have.
Just all feel,
Just
baby.
All hardware and like all emotion. Like, Kyle's over here like...
Because it doesn't matter that McDavid has all this hardware. He would trade it all if he could simply have the Stanley Cup, which Ovechkin has. So that means, just through feels and hard-wise, Ovechkin's a better player than McDavid.
No. I know he's on the all-time list, but it took him 25 freaking years to get there. McDavid...
Hold on. You love the Russian players. Don't even give me that. You're laughing because
I'm trying to make a case
I'm like, hold on. Like, hold on. Who is some of the key players that you love from the Red Wings?
Yeah, okay, all right. But I'm trying to make a point here. You sidebar me. So McDavid has more hardware than Obi, and he's been in the league like, 5-6 years?
But it doesn't matter if McDavid never wins a cup.
I don't care. Look.
Datsuk.
Hey,
he's laughing because...
What's his face? Oh, I didn't remember his name. Ovechkin could go to the Hall of Fame, and he will be laying it in night thinking about wanting to be the best player in the world. He's never been the best player in the world. McDavid is that, and he's not even 30 years old yet.
And McDavid lays in bed at night going, man, I wish I wasn't on a team that sucked and I could have a Stanley Cup.
He's at least bringing him to the playoffs. He'll change his
mind.
Has Ovi
not won MVP?
I mean, probably.
Matt, that's the best player in the world.
No. That's the best player is a playoff. That's a playoff.
No. The regular season, regular season MVP. Has he not won that? Kyle, pull it up.
It was before McDavid came to the league. By God, they have to be fair, or else McDavid would win it every year.
McDavid's like 25, and Ovi's like 38.
He's still better than everybody else.
I'm not going to argue that McDavid's like the better skater and all that stuff.
And Kyle,
obviously,
Kyle was telling me the story about, McDavid, he might not win a cup. And I said, well, if you look at all the greats, all the top 10 in history have all won a cup. And the people who the best players that have come the closest to winning a cup but haven't, like, you're talking like Joe Thornton level.
What about like 800 goals
Yager,
and the cup?
I don't think Yager won a cup, did he? I'm not sure about that. But anyway, McDavid is so far above that, he will win a cup. He's too good not to. Ovechkin just barely did.
But he also has 800 goals.
That's true, but he's also being fed up on a silver platter from Backstrom, who's the best passer of all time, probably.
We're
Yep. 2018, Ovechkin got the Conn Smythe.
So he was the Conn.
The Conn Smythe is for playoffs. That's different.
Doesn't matter. Best player in hockey.
That's playoff. No, that's for playoffs.
What about MVP? Regular season.
McDavid did not make the playoffs in 2018.
All right, we'll check here.
I mean, but how many? Like,
McDavid is the most talented player to ever play the game. Gretzky was great, but he played in an era when people didn't have a lot of skill. Ovechkin is excellent at a one-timer slap shot or snapshot.
So who's the best goal scorer?
He's a one-trick pony. Best goal scorer is a different call. And I said it's interesting, how do you define the best player? Is it hockey IQ? Is it goals? Is it skill? McDavid is the best skilled player.
Ovechkin has got the MVP.
Yeah, he's gotten it twice. So, okay.
08, 09.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's one of those.
McDavid's had it twice too, so they'll tie on that.
Yes, they've actually tied on that. So, but what my argument is too, like, if you look at McDavid, he's obviously the better skater. He's the better skills player. But if you look at like goals, obviously like McDavid's not gonna topple like Ovi in goals. Like it's not even gonna be close. He won't.
Those are fighting words right there for you,
That's
Matt.
fighting words. You're talking about the best player of all time.
Point wise, he's gonna be higher than Ovi. But goal wise, he won't be. Wow. He's the modern day Gretzky if you think about it, because assist wise, like he's gonna be off the charts. Like he really is. I mean, it's going to be unbelievable.
I think Dom has him estimated at
140.
He
has like 140 points this year. So like assist wise, don't even give me. Who is he feeding to? Is it Draisaitl?
Yeah. Whoop-de-doo.
Is he like the number 2 points getter in the league?
So, as McDavid's
but he's putting it up on a silver platter.
No.
My! Don't even give him that. So you have Draisaitl too putting up monster numbers though too.
I mean, yeah, they're both great. I mean, everybody for the Capitals is great, though. Oilers is like a one-line show.
I know, but that one line produces all the points for
That's how good McDavid is.
And
that's how good Draisaitl is.
He'll get there. They're making the playoffs. When he got there, it was
all
a tire
he needs
fire.
is defense.
Come back to me in 10 years and we'll talk about this.
We've argued this till we're blue in the face every postseason. What do the Oilers need? Defense. They've not had defense. If you put McDavid on any team with a halfway decent defense, like it's going to be incredible.
The problem is McDavid's just so good that the team doesn't have enough money left over to pay anybody else.
Because he's eating up the cap space at like $14 million a year. Yeah, I mean he's phenomenal. Like we're not debating that point. Like he is. If you just look at him skate, he's a walking highlight reel. I mean it's unbelievable. Some of the. I mean when he gets going too, like he coils up. You know what I'm talking about? Like you're done. You're done. You can't get him. Like you got to stop him before he gets to that point. But it is just nice to know that, like, this is the new mantle getting passed, honestly. Because, like, Ovi's now on his way out. And he's, reaching the pinnacle of his career. This is the twilight, rather, of his career where he's trying to catch Gretzky. And, honestly, it looks like he might because he's come out firing this year in goals. I mean, it's been smoking hot start. He's about to pass Brett Hull. Can you believe that? I mean...
Yeah. They're both power play specialists. That's a good one for him to pass. I think they're very similar style-wise.
Yeah. So.
Okay, Matt. We'll skip over quickly the fact that Carolina is undefeated still. That's not a big deal.
No one cares about Carolina.
I do.
Them bunch of jerks.
I love Carolina. I'll tell you what, sidebar, shut up for a second. Me and my wife were talking about Carolina, and she was like, man, Carolina's boring. Who likes them?
Are you
what
kidding?
Are you talking about? Are you retarded?
No, because she's on Facebook Marketplace watching.
I said, Carolina is the most exciting team in the league. Like them or hate them, but they are very exciting.
Well, here's the deal. And the Preds have played them a lot in the last year and a half because you got to think with the realignment, I think even Ekholm was like, bro, we have played them like we know Carolina because we had them in the playoffs. We had them like several times during the division where you couldn't really travel that much with COVID, and then of course we started this year off with like several Carolina games. So I'm like, I don't know who's been playing in that. But that said, Carolina's come out to a blazing hot start.
They're 8-0.
They're 8-0. Yeah, they're still undefeated. So
yeah,
only undefeated team in the league. I think
Florida lost once in
and then
the shootout.
Edmonton has only lost once too. So you have some really hot teams still right now. Unfortunately, which we'll get into in the Preds talk. Preds have played a lot of the hot teams here recently. Calgary, Edmonton, San Jose, and Minnesota, and ended up with 3 out of 4 wins out of those. They actually were on a 4-game win streak. Fantastic. So what a great rebound.
Absolutely. They pulled themselves to a 500 team.
Yeah.
I mean, after the what I thought was a very terrible start to the season, the fact that we've kind of pulled it up makes me wonder if I should have named the episode last time Team Mediocre, because that's honestly what I thought. But then as we see them going through the next couple of games, they may not be Team Mediocre. Maybe they're finding a groove, especially with Matt Duchene being on the wing now. Seems to be playing better.
He's looking so good.
And then Tanner Jeannot has been a beast.
Yeah, well, like you said, at the start of the season, that's what we were looking at. That's what we all thought. But Saros has been playing extremely well. Duchene has looked much better on the wing, which is what I said. He's kind of he's filling a new role, slotting in for players who's not here anymore. He's filling their void, and it's really having more success for him. And like I said, I'm on the Tanner Jeannot train, boys.
Don't even get me started on this.
Are you really? Because I changed the name of the account to Tanner Jeannot fan account, and you were like, can we change it back? I don't like the name.
Yeah.
No, for all the listeners who didn't listen last time, I have mentioned Tanner Jeannot since last season, and then Matt was like, "Who is this kid?" Like literally in the chat, like last week, because it takes him a little longer. He's kind of a Red Wings fan, but he got there, and now he's on the Tanner Jeannot train, because he's really been killing it on that bottom line. That herd line has been fantastic.
Great. You guys have been starting the game with that line.
Well, yeah, I mean, it almost sets precedence for how we want to play, and we've been very physical, and the games have actually been really tight. Like that's what you want to see, is very competitive, tight games. The defense has been very solid. We had some off nights. That one, especially that Jets night, man, we got absolutely hosed that night on the back end. But you got to kind of throw some of those games happen every now and then. But there are some major factors that are contributing to their success right now, and that's one's got to be the power play. We can't not mention
doing good.
I think
we cannot.
Last I checked, they were 6th in the league in power play.
Technically 7th now after tonight, but they are 25% on the power play. Congratulations! We haven't had this good of a power play in probably 7 years. I can't remember the last time.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And it is significantly different. That first power play unit in particular, you got your big guns out there. You got Matt Duchene, you got Ryan Johansen, basically quarterbacked by Josi. That's what it's been looking like. And the passing has been a lot crisper. I mean, tape to tape, you're getting high bumper slot shots, basically. They're trying to get great redirects. You're getting traffic in front of the net. I've noticed Granlund and Duchene really going in hard, crashing the net. It just looks so much better. So, that'll probably average out a little bit, and it might cool off, towards the end. But if you're hitting 20% or more, I'm very excited about that. And one of the other key things I have to point out is the fact that the people that should be scoring and contributing they're stepping up. I know, like, if you talked to Johansen last year, he was extremely disappointed with his numbers and his performance. And he even said that too. He came out and said that. He's on record. But if you look at the top 5 in points right now, you have Roman Josi, Matt Duchene, Ryan Johansen, Mikael Granlund, and Philip Forsberg. Those are the people that need to be scoring. You got your captain he's gotten off to a smoking hot start this year. He's a point per game player right now, actually slightly above. Matt Duchene's been getting up there. He's been contributing on goals recently. Ryan Johansen's shooting more. He's got a great shot. We've been asking for it, and he's now shooting. Granlund's getting some of those down and dirty goals, and you still got all the assists coming in. Forsberg still looking great. And then you're getting your secondary scorer. Look who's 6th on the list. Tanner Jeannot. Like,
your boy, Matt.
There he is, Matt. He's got 5 points, but he's got 4 goals.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He's got as many goals as Forsberg right now. He has been a great addition. A lot of people were kind of questioning why protect him, in the draft. And that's very interesting. We went that route. But he is definitely turning out to be a key piece in the lineup this year, and it is just very comforting to see. You have a lot of the younger talent getting good reps. You still have Tomasino getting in there. Fabro is still in the lineup. You still have Alexander Carrier stepping up big time in this lineup. I mean, he's been paired practically with Josi or Ekholm on any given night, and he's looked fantastic. Like, he hasn't missed a beat. So you have to be very optimistic for what you're seeing from all the rookies, and you have to be extremely excited to see all your key players contributing right now. And honestly, the last I look at some of the metrics, the Preds' chances to get into the playoffs now have exponentially increased since then, just because a lot of our base metrics are leaning towards us winning more games than we thought we would. And like I said, we just came through a hard stretch of some of the best teams in the league, and we had 4 out of 5 wins. That's incredible, especially after starting sub 500 with a lot of home games.
And you can't forget, we also have some of the grit too, because as you saw the other day, Matt, Borowicki with the town.
Oh my God, dude. Borowicki absolutely destroyed Richie. That was the most butt whooping I've seen in years.
Dude, it was so good. It was so good.
I was sitting there and I was not expecting it. I was just shouting at my TV. My wife was losing her mind. She was like, "What is wrong with you?" And
Richie's
I'm like,
also the one who's always like trying to get people, right? He's always like that down and like he's a scrappy, like, you know, he's like the Ryan Hartman kind of. You know what I mean?
Wilson type
Tom
person.
Wilson kind of gets under your skin. You know, like, I mean, Hartman the other night, did you see that dive he took? I think it was it on Josi? Was it Josi?
I think it was.
Oh, man. Like, I was laughing so hard because I was like, what a great sell. But, like, you got players kind of like that. Richie's kind of like that, dude. When he dropped the gloves, I was watching the World Series and the game at the same time. I had it on the TV and was live streaming on my phone. And I saw him drop the gloves into Richie, and I was like, boy, you better put them gloves back on because you don't know what you're about to get into.
Some good hits.
Dude, that helmet was gone. I mean, it was a right hook.
For a few seconds, I forgot I was watching a hockey fight. I literally thought I was watching a UFC fight.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was impressive.
And it was quick, too. I mean, like 5 seconds, he was already on the ice. I mean, and he got some good licks on him. Like I said, that first right hook that hit his helmet, and his helmet literally, he didn't have to pull his helmet off. No, he just punched it completely off, and it literally went straight up in the air, and I'm like, oh, this is going to get good.
He may have lost a couple of teeth as well, too.
Dude, he had several straight into the kisser there. I mean, it was...
Daniel, we had somebody asking us the other day, they were like...
I thought it was pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I thought it was pay-per-view there for a second, because it was, I mean... It was an incredible fight to watch.
That's got to be my favorite. It's going to be my favorite replay of the year. Like, if you could turn that into like a shorter GIF clip, that'd be perfect.
We'll get on that. But, yeah, that was a scrap.
But I don't understand. Here's the main issue. I've been saying this. His name is, on the back of the jersey, it's Borowicki. But they pronounce his name Warbieski. How do you start with the B and get a W? Borowicki to Warbieski. I don't know why they say it that way, but everybody says that. That's the
way some languages work.
That's the weirdest. Where's he from? That's got to be the weirdest pronunciation.
I'm not a linguist, Matt. But you can just call him Burrow Cop. There you go.
Yeah, Burrow Cop's fine.
Because you remember that was his nickname. So just call him Burrow Cop.
Kid's from Canada. What kind of name is that?
Now, since the team has done so well with the recent stretch, seeing how the fact they're going to play Vancouver on Friday, and then they start their Central Division swing with the Blackhawks on Sunday, and then you've got Dallas on Wednesday and St. Louis on Thursday, and then on Saturday they're going to take on poor Arizona and just kind of continue their.
That's rude. Arizona is the giant slayer team. They took Edmonton. What was it to? Not Edmonton. Who was it? They Florida. They're good. They're really good against great teams for some reason. So, and Phoenix, you guys, you're Arizona might suck, but they've always been really good against Nashville too.
That is true. They have been.
The real question is, will Arizona have a win by that Preds game?
Oh,
yeah, it's been really rough.
The deal. I'm just gonna say they traded away literally half their team in the offseason, so it's rough. It's rough times in the desert. In Glendale, I know they're trying to...
in a different jersey hurts to see.
Yeah, they got the
move to
Duchene
Houston eventually, Matt.
You know, this year I've been thinking they're probably going to move in the next couple of years, and I'm thinking we're seeing the last couple of years of Arizona here.
Yeah, they probably need it, and I think the whole stadium situation is not helping with them being a little further out. But that said, yeah, I mean, this is a crucial week and a lot of road games. I don't know if you've looked at the schedule, but you're talking like I'm kind of taking away my segment at the end here.
That's fine.
But you have this massive road stretch, only one home game, and then another 3-game stint for a week. So if you come out of this still above 500, I'm very excited. And you're going to have a lot of good key points up for grabs because, you want to get this win. You want to get the Dallas win. That Blues game is going to be a difficult one against a very hot start for the St. Louis Blues. So, like I said, though, the fact that we come through Calgary and Edmonton, still, the competitive games. The Calgary game, great comeback win.
That was an excellent win.
Scrappy win. That's what you need to do on the road. Fantastic. The team looked great.
And it was perfect. You're on the road stretch, back-to-back nights. The second game against Edmonton, which was, last night, was an excellent chance to put in your backup goalie because you were likely to lose. You were not going to go 2 for 2 against Calgary and Edmonton. So you won the first one in OT. You're on a back-to-back stretch on the road. A great time to put some ice time for your backup goalie because we really haven't seen much of him yet this year. Saros has been like a .933 save percentage against even strength. So it was a great time to get the backup goalie in there, give him some ice time. He kind of got lit up. I think Edmonton had 5 goals maybe, but it gets ice time, calm the nerves a little bit, get him settled into the season, and train him up for, I guess it was Connor Ingram, so you could see what he's going to be like here coming in the future to give Saros a couple days off here.
Connor looked pretty good. He had several really good saves.
Yes, I'll have to say, he had 2 or 3 really good saves. It's not really saying too much against him that Edmonton got 5 goals against him. That would have happened.
You got some power play goals in there, too. We all know Edmonton on a power play.
Yeah.
They've literally had the best power play in the league, honestly, the last 2-3 years. It's crazy. But if you look at the last 5, though, a win against Minnesota, a win against San Jose, those are both 2 teams that are, very much in the potential for making the playoffs and possibly streaking. They've definitely come out to hot starts. You have an Islanders win in OT. Josi finishes that one. And then you have the Calgary one right back to back, another OT win on the road. This is some good quality building stuff. This is major confidence building for the team right now.
This is why,
this is incredible.
Remember at the start of the season, Kyle, we were kind of talking, well, if you were the GM, what would you do here if you were David Boyle? When I said, well, you need to kind of wait to really see where you're at. This is why you wait. Because we were thinking sell the ship at the beginning of the season, fire everybody, put in rebuild, sell mode, and now we're thinking, man, we're actually playing pretty good hockey here. So good thing you didn't make a rash, knee-jerk reaction at the start of the season.
You know how I know we're playing good hockey? Because you're saying we and not you guys.
Oh,
man. You caught me.
Yeah. Got him.
Yep.
Yeah, it's one of those things, you also are looking at the plus-minus. Is the plus-minus relatively close to 0? It is. We're -1 right now after the Edmonton loss, which we, lost 3 right there. So we were actually positive. So all these games have been very close and competitive, which is what you want. That's kind of Nashville's identity right now. You want to play those scrappy, hard-fought games, and we are doing that. The defense looks much more improved, and like I said, it is just a very comforting sign seeing the actual contributing people that need to be contributing up at the top of the stat sheet. All the metrics are pointing in the right direction. Just keep it up. And for some reason, I will point this out too. Have you guys noticed that usually on these long road trips for the Preds, something clicks? I don't know what it is, but the past 2 seasons, they had that one long road trip, and it clicked, and then Saros came out on fire, and the next thing you know, they make the playoffs last year. So there's some sort of weird identity thing with this team where something clicks, they get more close-knit. That I don't know if they can practice more. I don't really know. We don't have access to all that. But that said, something clicks for this team, and they have 2 back-to-back road trips, basically. So we'll see where we're at the end of this period. But you have to be very excited with the stats and the signs of trending upward right now.
Absolutely. And Matt, you better put February 24th on your calendar because Rinne, as the Preds aptly announced on his birthday, will be the first Predator to have his number retired by the team.
I did not know it was on his birthday.
It was on his birthday.
That is precious.
The team also has a history of kind of giving out these big PECA announcements on his birthday, apparently, as well.
Yeah.
We saw this one coming.
Is there anything we can say to this one? Other than,
Make a statue.
Well deserved, and I'm going to be there. I'm probably crying. shedding a tear.
Yeah,
so this is
a first in Preds organization history. We probably need to be there to see that.
We have to purchase 2 tickets here recently. We need to go ahead and purchase the Stadium Series ticket, boys, because we're gonna do a block because we got to be there. And by the way, this is right before the Stadium Series one, I believe, and this is the week leading up to this. So this starts the celebration off. I mean, you can't get any better than that. Do this. Maybe, just maybe, can you announce that you're putting a statue up in front of Bridgestone?
I would love
Bro,
that.
if they did that and somehow was able to keep that under wraps and just unveiled that, like right in the lobby, right there in the corner, brought people would lose their minds. Well deserved, though.
I mean, Rinne is like the best goalie we've ever had. I mean, he's the regular season leader in games with Nashville, 683 games. He started 667. He's got 369 wins, 60 shutouts. He's got a 917 save average. He's had over 17,000 saves. And Matt, he is the first among Finland-born goalies in NHL season with game wins.
He's the best Finnish goaltender of all time. There's no denying it.
Game starts, wins, shutouts, and he's tied with Tom Barrasso for 19th NHL wins, and he's 19th in shutouts. I mean, this guy has had one of the best seasons of hockey in his entire life.
You mean career? Yeah, his entire career has just been incredible, and like we've mentioned before too, we won't rehash it. What he did for the organization is just leaps and bounds. What he was able to do, what he was able to perform, and basically put on the ice. He was there for all the big moments. I mean, literally all the big moments. You have the cup run. I mean, everything. He has been there through it all for the organization, and basically turning what he said in his words, Nashville into a hockey town.
And kind of off the ice too, he started that charity with Shea Weber, and that's going to leave a lasting mark on Hockey Town there. So,
yeah, he says he catches all the highlights still at night because he's in Finland right now. So he'll try to watch all the goalie highlights too with Saros.
He stays in contact with Saros.
Oh yeah, it's like his boy at this point. So it is just funny to see. I was thinking about that the other day. It's like we have the best Finnish goaltender of all time. We have the best Swiss player of all time. It's just funny because we have very niche markets, and then we have that best player. It's just really funny how that has happened for the Predators in their organizational stretch here. But it'd be also interesting to note that I wonder where Saros is going to end up on that list for Finnish goaltenders, because he has the potential, because he is starting a lot younger than Peck. Where is he going to end up on the shutout list? Where is he going to end up on the all-time win list? And that is going to be something that would be really special, is if he starts catching up with Pekka, and then one day they get to share that, and they were both teammates, and kind of that was his mentor. So
I can tell you, if you ask Rinne, he would tell you that he wants Saros to surpass him.
I think he does, kind of, because it was almost like his leg, he helped train him. So it's kind of like, if anyone is going to surpass me, I would love for it to be almost my own boy. When he made that one save one time, and he's on the mic, and he's like, "That's my boy." You can't get any better than that. But the fact that he is getting his jersey retired, it's going to be hung in the rafters. It's going to be a very special night for Nashville. This is the first time it's ever happened. We will definitely be there. There's no one more deserving than Pekka. No one's going to fault that. But get your tissues ready, Matt. I think you might be like.
I do get emotional over hockey for sure.
He gets emotional over hockey, and he also gets emotional over the great players leaving. Yeah. So this is one night that you might see one just come down the cheek a little bit from Matt. So you can't fault him on that though.
So Matt, what stats you got for us tonight?
Yeah, I'll leave you guys with a couple good ones. I'm all on the Vegas train, baby. I'm all in. Let me tell you.
Are you all in so much you're going to move there?
No, that would be cool though. That'd be cool, but no. But let me tell you a couple Vegas stats since we're pumping their tires up here. Vegas now has had in their history 15 straight overtime wins. They have not lost in overtime, and or at least 15 straight. I don't know if they've never lost, but their record is 15 straight.
That's pretty crazy,
and that is an NHL all-time record. So. In doing that also, they have now reached their 200th win in franchise history, and they're the second fastest franchise to reach that 200 win mark. I forget which the other one was, maybe Ottawa or something. It's been a long time ago, but it's excellent for Vegas. But when you come in with a hot lineup and have success early, that's how it happens. And speaking of success, I got to throw it back to my sweet Detroit Red Wings. I don't think we've mentioned them, but maybe once in this episode.
Is it rookies?
That's simply not enough. Of course it's rookies. We're talking about my boy, Lucas Raymond. Let me tell you, there's only been 3 Red Wings, age 19 or younger, have had 4+ point nights. And that is Gordie Howe, Steve Yzerman, and now rookie Lucas Raymond. And he's absolutely been on a tear, including him and Moritz Seider both. In fact, they are, at the time I took this, they were the number 1 and 2 rookies in the league in points, and they're both Red Wings rookies. So the Red Wings have been quite a good team this year. I mean, they're not, I don't know about playoffs, but they're looking.
They're 500 hockey right now.
Here's the deal: they're trending in the right direction, and we knew this was going to happen. In a couple years from now, they're going to be competitive. I mean, just give it some time.
Yeah.
You have a lot of young pieces.
It's looking, as a Red Wings fan,
it's a good rebuild.
It's looking good this year.
It's a good rebuild mode. We're liking where we're going, Matt. So
right now, Matt, we're on par with you guys.
That's right. Just one notch above us, but it's all right.
I have 2 stats from the Predators. Ready?
Oh, wow, okay.
Knocked out, dude. So you're going to love this. These are both from Adam Vingan. Matt Duchene last season had 6 goals, 13 points in 34 games played. This season so far, Matt Duchene, 4 goals, 8 points in 10 games played. He has come out firing, and remember we even said even in the preseason, Matt Duchene just looked different, and the move to wing is 100% the best move.
That's what clicked.
Well, here's the deal. He is such a skilled player, too. Putting him on the wing just makes more sense. Like, he can utilize, like, his crafty. He's very crafty. Like, if you see the highlights, he always does those, like, quick back and forth, motions, and he can create a lot of space on the end board. So, that said, that's interesting to know. Oh, and by the way, another fun stat, just for you to throw back, kind of to smear the McDavid thing. Leon Draisaitl has 10 goals in the last 4 games against the Predators.
Wow.
He averages right now 2.5 goals a game against the Predators.
He pretty much owns them.
Yeah, he's basically destroyed the Predators the last the 4 outings. But
makes me remember when we used to actually play well against the Oilers and win.
Yeah.
That was before McDavid, baby.
No, actually, it was at
McDavid.
the end of Peck's kind of like peak. If that makes sense.
I'm just throwing the McDavid.
I think it was actually I think it was the year that he won the Vezina. Actually, that was the last kind of like snap, because there was like a huge stretch where basically Pekka had like stonewalled him for like 5 or 6 straight seasons. So it's kind of like the Blackhawks. I'm still thinking that Pekka has just somehow contributed to this Blackhawks situation. He started the shutout in the playoffs, which kicked them out, which started the steamroll all the way down to where we are right now as the Blackhawks. That's just my hot take for the night. Just kidding. But
well, part of the intro to our show, it says we do the occasional hot take or two, so I guess that's one for the night. But guys, that's the show for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to more of our episodes, you can find us at Music City Gold on Twitter or on iTunes, or you can find us at penaltyboxradio.com. Until next time, we'll see you guys on the ice.
You've been listening to Music City Gold on the Penalty Box Radio Network. We'd love to interact with you on Twitter. The show can be found at Music City Gold. You can find Kyle at Kyle Hancock, Daniel at CDanDrum, and Matt at MattBain31. Past episodes of the show can be found by subscribing to Music City Gold or Penalty Box Radio on iTunes or at penaltyboxradio.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the ice.